This is The Gist, the essential podcast for the discerning listener. Welcome to The Gist. It is Sunday, August the 2nd, 2026. I'm John.
And I'm Mary. We are your smart friends on the go, bringing you the news of the day. Let's dive in.
Let's start with the Gist view. Today, we are looking at a classic case of unintended consequences in the tech world.
Exactly. When Washington banned advanced microchip exports to China, the goal was to stall Beijing's tech sector, but it actually created a massive state-backed subsidy.
Think of it like a walled garden. If you lock foreign competitors out, local plants have all the soil and water to themselves.
That's what just happened with ChangXin Memory Technologies, or CXMT. They are China's top producer of DRAM. That stands for Dynamic Random Access Memory. It is the standard memory chip used in every computer server.
CXMT just went public in Shanghai. Their stock surged 466%. They are now valued at $487 billion.
And it's not just memory chips. State-owned firms in China are now mass-producing domestic DUV machines. DUV stands for deep-ultraviolet lithography. It's the complex optical technology used to print circuit patterns onto silicon wafers.
Chinese chip makers are snapping up this hardware. Why? Because buying local buys immunity from Western sanctions. It guarantees a captive market.
This parallel ecosystem is hitting Western firms hard. The Dutch tech giant ASML lost 13% of its market value in just 2 days after this news dropped in the Financial Times.
Now, ASML still holds a total monopoly on the next generation machines, extreme ultraviolet. You need those for the most advanced artificial intelligence chips. So China remains a generation behind in artificial intelligence.
But the older legacy chip market, it is officially fractured. Reuters noted a great historical parallel. In 1999, the United States limited exports of satellite parts. The result? Foreign aerospace companies just designed American parts out of their blueprints entirely. The incentives shifted, and history repeats itself.
Moving to the global overview, the wealth gap is getting a high-tech boost. Morgan Stanley just reported a staggering $74 billion in net new wealth assets for the second quarter of 2026.
Where is all that cash coming from? Newly minted millionaires. People are cashing out of massive tech IPOs and private equity deals.
Private stock sales from companies like SpaceX are flooding the wealth management sector. The people who got in early are reaping massive rewards. Now, banks are fighting to manage those windfalls.
Meanwhile, infrastructure is getting a very expensive facelift. Washington Dulles International Airport is planning a $20 billion overhaul.
Dulles is a major hub for United Airlines. The plan is to replace aging concourses and those famously clunky mobile lounges. President Donald Trump has heavily promoted the project.
But who actually pays for a $20 billion airport upgrade? You do, if you fly. It's mostly funded through user passenger fees. Every time you buy a ticket through Dulles, a few dollars go toward those new concourses. Resource flow at its simplest. The consumer funds the concrete.
Let's shift to the European perspective. Here in Germany, we are watching a massive stress test on our borders.
In late July, 60,000 migrants crossed from Morocco into Ceuta. Ceuta is a Spanish city that sits right on the northern coast of Africa.
Tragically, 67 people died in the crossing. But there is a deeper geopolitical game at play here. Morocco occasionally relaxes its border controls. They use the flow of migration as a lever to extract diplomatic concessions from Europe.
It's a low-cost mechanism for third-party autocracies. By outsourcing our border enforcement to other countries, Europe gives those nations a valve. They can open it to pressure Brussels anytime they want.
Johann Wadeful is a senior leader in Germany's CDU. That is the major centre-right political party here. He called this breach an absolute stress test for the Schengen area.
Schengen is the zone of 29 European countries that abolished internal border checks. If the outer border leaks, well, the whole internal system feels the strain.
From human movement to insect movement, there is a fascinating, if troubling, trend in the European hobbyist market. We are seeing a rise in African biopiracy.
Right now, a giant African harvester ant queen sells for €200, about $230, to insect collectors in Europe.
That high price tag creates a huge financial incentive for illegal ecological extraction.
A Chinese national was just sentenced to a year in prison in Kenya for trying to export thousands of these ants.
Finally, looking at climate, Germany just suffered a severe heatwave. It caused 10,000 excess deaths, and yet climate skepticism here is actually surging.
The empirical data is very clear. There is a 98% active scientific consensus on human-driven climate change.
But public sentiment is drifting the other way. This divergence makes it incredibly hard for the state to invest structurally in climate adaptation. Politicians follow the voters, even when the thermometer says otherwise.
That brings us to today's temperature check. Globally, we are seeing defensive postures harden into permanent walls. From China building a parallel chip ecosystem to dodge sanctions, to autocracies using migration as geopolitical leverage against Europe, the incentives are clear.
Capital finds a way, whether it's flowing into Morgan Stanley from tech IPOs or creating a black market for African ants. The recurring theme today is insulation. States and corporations are spending billions to secure their own supply chains, borders, and wealth, often passing the tab directly to the consumer.
And that's the gist for today. If you enjoyed the show and want to stay ahead of these global shifts, you should get our daily newsletter.
It's totally free and it's the best way to start your morning. Just tap the link in the show notes to subscribe to The Gist. Thanks for walking with us today, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
The Gist, News Digest, and podcast are entirely written and produced by artificial intelligence. The Gist is out 3 times a day, every day, providing you with a liberal perspective on what to expect next. For more information and donations, visit thegist.online. Thank you for listening.